Recording, yes, we are. Thank you very much for joining this evening. Tonight, as I'm sure you're already aware, we are going to do some training on Marella cruises. Now, for those of you that have been around for a couple of months or so, you'll probably remember that we did do a small training on Marella cruises. But what I did there was I literally just sort of went into the TUI website and went through the cruising side of it. So showed you where to find certain things, overviews of the ships and things like that. Excuse me. And how to actually book the cruises. But we kind of left it there. So I've just made a little bit of a presentation for those people that are newer, but also for those that may have seen the first one, but still haven't actually got an idea as to who they are and what they do. So that's what I've gone ahead and done this evening. So I'll get straight into it and I will share my screen. We'll get straight into the presentation, and then if there's any questions, of course, at the end, we will go ahead and try and answer those as well. So let me just get rid of that down there. Our very echoey Michelle today, could you just unmute yourself and just let me know if you can see that screen, please?
Yeah, I can see.
Thank you very much. Okay, so exploring Marella cruises is exactly what we're doing when it decides to work. Yeah. Okay, so Marella Cruises, a premier cruise experience. So Marella Cruises is a distinguished cruise line known for its exceptional travel experiences on the open seas. With a commitment to quality and customer satisfaction, Marella offers a unique blend of adventure and relaxation for all travellers. So again, you may or may not know, but they are a subsidiary of TUI. So once upon a time, I was just explaining this prior to the recording of the training itself. When I personally worked for TUI, they were just known as TUI Cruises, and it really was as simple and straightforward as that. And then they started to brand them more and more as Marella Cruises, but pretty much everybody still knew them as a TUI Cruise. And then they expanded to the likes of river cruises and what have you, which, just to let you know, I've not gone into that in this presentation because we've been in for a couple of hours. But they started expanding to the likes of river cruises and what have you, and it have kind of built their brand up. And it is now very much just known as Marella Cruises, but they absolutely are part of TUI. Modern fleet. So with regards to this, they've got a few ships, the Marella Discovery, the Discovery 2, the Explorer. I think it's the Voyager is the latest one. But what they have done, and again, I think we touched on this very briefly, is they have, with pretty much most of their ships now, they've bought Royal Caribbean's older, smaller cruise ships. So as we know, Royal Caribbean have very much led the way on these super duper out of this world sized ships. You know, you name it, they've got it. But going back not that long, really, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago even, they had a lot of smaller ships in their fleet. And bit by bit, as their larger ones have kind of overtaken, they've not really wanted their smaller ones anymore. And in turn, TUI/Marella bought those smaller ships from Royal Caribbean. Obviously, they've refurbed them, revamped them, made them into the Marella branding. But just to give people an idea, that's basically where they came from. It's those smaller Royal Caribbean ships that they just didn't want anymore because they've gone into that very, very large market. So they do tailor them. As I say, they've very much refurbed and revamped them, so everything's a lot more modern. Some are adult only, some are family friendly, so you really can find something for everybody. And they operate with a focus on comfort and leisure. Spacious cabins, diverse dining options, engaging entertainment, ensuring that everybody has a relaxing break. So what I will say, because I know I haven't put it in here, is Marella cruises are realistically they're a 4-star ship. So they don't claim to be over the top luxurious or 5-star all singing, all dancing. They are very much a comfortable 4-star cruise. So again, for anybody who if you have been trying to ask or anything like that, if they've been with Cunard before, Morella's not going to be for them. If they like the idea of maybe 5-star Virgin voyages or celebrity cruises, not really going to be for them. But if they've been with the likes of P&O, they wouldn't have been with Ocean Village because they don't exist anymore. P&O, Fred Olsen, MSC, people like that, then chances are they would enjoy a Marella cruises. And then I've just put the 3 main ships down simply because I can't find a huge amount on their newest ship at the moment. So I'd rather leave it out for the time being and just give you a small snippet of information. Once I do, I'll post it out on the Facebook group or something like that. So the Discovery is designed for both families and couples, offering a variety of entertainment and dining options. The Discovery 2 offers a range of lounges and bars, perfect for relaxation and socialising during any days at sea, and of course your evenings on board the ship as well. And the Explorer includes a unique outdoor rooftop venue, as well as a range of dining experiences catering to everybody's palate. And speaking of dining and entertainment, so there's a variety of dining options, including specialty restaurants, casual eateries, pretty much meaning that anybody can be catered for. For those who maybe like more of an a la carte dining most nights, they can very much do that. And complete opposite for anybody who just wants a bit more of a casual, laid back sort of atmosphere, they are catered for as well. And then, of course, in addition to the dining and your entertainment, you've got your pools, you've got your wellness, your spas, your gyms, all of those lovely treatments that you can get, fitness classes, bit of sunbathing. That is actually the ship that I went on, the ship itself that I went on. And prior to actually being on a cruise, full stop, really, I always used to look at these and think they just look like there was not enough room for everybody to sit. If everybody just decided they wanted to sit out and sunbathe and relax and take advantage of the weather, maybe while you're at sea, it just doesn't look enough. You'll be so surprised at how uncrowded it feels. I still don't know why. I can't answer that. But honestly, you don't feel crammed in. You don't feel like there's too many people for space or anything like that. So just in case anybody does ask, put their minds at ease. Like I say, it was a preconceived idea that I had, but it was certainly put to rest. Slightly different because the ship I went on was much, much larger. But certainly with the Marella, I don't know why. Knowing it was a smaller ship, maybe, I always felt as though it was going to be really sort of crammed and not nice, but it certainly was not the case. In the way of their capacity, so the ships are designed to accommodate between 1,800 and 2,200 passengers. So I'm not saying they are absolutely tiny by any stretch of the imagination, but if we look at Independence of the Seas, Royal Caribbean, that is now actually one of their smaller cruise ships that holds 4,400 passengers. And that is now one of their smaller ships. So when I say they are small, they are small. But that's actually part of the reason why they win the awards that you do, because people appreciate the more homely sort of feel. but we'll touch on those a bit later. And then diverse itineraries. So their itineraries are known for a few different reasons. So they very much do some different ports of call, which I've put down there on the right-hand side, as you can see. So just as a bit of an idea, Trinidad and Tobago, certainly somewhere different in the way of a cruise port. Guadeloupe, Aruba, again, you don't often see them. Morocco, Cape Verde, Montenegro, Sardinia, Slovenia. Of course, the list absolutely could go on, but I just thought if I handpick a few that you don't necessarily see as standard, there's no point in me putting the likes of Barbados on that list, because the truth of the matter is, if you're going on a Caribbean cruise, you are probably either going to fly out to Barbados or you're going to go to Barbados for the day. Gorgeous, beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not really something different. These, I personally think, are. The other thing, although I've not written about it, that I wanted to speak about under the itineraries, is the fact that TUI are very, very well known for the fact that they don't have many days at sea. Now, of course, there are exceptions to that rule, because there always is. So they do some what we call repositional cruises. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but just very quickly, a repositional cruise, just in case you do ever get asked or you want to promote a repositional cruise, is, for example, if we had, let's say, the Marella Discovery in the Caribbean visiting these, these top 3 areas here, then from March, maybe April time, when the Caribbean and likes don't have brilliant weather, that cruise ship will be moving to the Mediterranean or the Baltic or somewhere like that. So obviously it needs to get there. So you'll find a lot of cruise companies will do what they call repositional cruises. So it might, for example, fly out to Barbados, and it may sail over to, for example, Mallorca or Cyprus or something like that. Obviously, it's going to be a slightly longer cruise, and also it's going to have more days at sea because, of course, you're crossing over the likes of the Caribbean Sea or whatever it might be. So definitely some exceptions to the rule, but something that Marella Cruises are hugely known for is not having many days at sea. So on a 7-night cruise, most of them have no days at sea whatsoever. A couple have 1, and that's it. So when people's traditional idea or traditional marketing of going on a cruise and waking up in a different port every day, that is very much where Marella stand. Now, obviously, I don't want to use any of these trainings to compare companies or slander any other companies. So I certainly won't obviously say names or anything like that. But you will find with other cruise companies, on a 7-night cruise, you may actually only hit 3 or 4 ports within that week. And you may well have 3 or 4 days at sea. There's a few different reasons for this, including the size of the ships. So the larger the ship, the less ports they can actually fit into. So I don't know for certain, I'm completely making these up, but I don't imagine Santorini in Greece to have a very large port, because it's a small island. It's still quite traditional, I don't believe that to have, or certainly in my head, probably doesn't have a huge cruise port. So there are going to be ships and there are going to be companies that quite simply can't fit in that port, meaning that TUI are ahead of the game in that respect, but also meaning that these other cruise companies will then have to have that day at sea to get to the next port where they can actually fit. So I hope that makes sense. I do realise I've really, really gone on there, and I do apologise. But to me, it's a really, really big thing, because it's so the traditional way of selling a cruise, waking up every day in a different port. And that is very much what they do. So yes, itineraries, very big thing for Marella. Key ports of call. I could have gone on and on and on here, but obviously Barcelona, people love Barcelona. Dubrovnik, because Croatia's a little bit different and it's not in the Euro. People like to go there. You've got the city side of it, of course, and Santorini, because it's very well known for being in films. And you can see up here this photograph of Santorini and the whitewashed walls and the caves and what have you, set into the cliffside. This one here in the middle is Slovenia. And this one down here is Trinidad, again, just for anybody who is interested. And then onto the all-inclusive concept. So every single cruise with Marella is all-inclusive. As standard, you can't take that off. You can upgrade it, but you can't take that off. So when you look at the price of a Marella cruise, it will automatically be an all-inclusive package. So obviously, you always get your meals, your entertainment and what have you anyway, but having those drinks included just would take, certainly for first-time cruisers, take such a huge weight off their shoulders, and that slight maybe panic of, what are we going to spend while we're there? Have we got enough? Are we taking enough? You know, it really does just take that worry of the additional costs away. And you can see there on the right-hand side, I've just popped down what is included. So it's selected beers and ciders, that's draft, bottles and cans, selected wines by the glass, standard spirits and aperitifs, a range of cocktails from Mai Tai to Long Island, selected soft drinks by the glass, including mocktails and fruit juices. Now, if you have, and again, I think I touched on this slightly when we did the initial Marella cruise training, sorry. If you have a client, which I have had in the past, who only drinks a specific brand, in his case of whiskey, it wasn't included in the all-inclusive. And for him, it worked out. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it was an extra £2. So he wasn't having to pay the full price of that whiskey. He was just effectively having to pay a top up. Now, once upon a time, that was as far as it went. You can now, with Marella, upgrade to premium all-inclusive. And that will include those, shall we say, the higher end brands, if that's the right way to put it, and the champagne and the Red Bull and the specialty coffees. You can always get tea and coffees, but they do have specific coffee shops on board, which aren't included in the all-inclusive. But if you have the premium, then you do also get those. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I think that, to me, included, I don't think I would, I mean, vodka's vodka, is it not? Gin's gin. I'm sure that they'll do their own sort of pink gin and a variety of different flavours. Other flavours are available. But just in case you do have anybody who may specifically only drink a vodka or Belvedere or something like that, there is the option of the upgrade. And the tipping policy, again, to me, a real key feature here is the fact that tipping is already included in your price. So again, you can see with regards to the last slide and talking about the all-inclusive and taking that worry away, the concept is really quite heavy here of let's just include everything, and then there's no stressing and there's no worries. So you literally do not have to tip anybody at all on board. Now, again, obviously with American companies, I'm sure most people know, some certainly won't. But if you're out in America, you've got your tax on top of everything, and tipping is required. And that is the same for American cruise lines. So again, your likes of Royal Caribbean or Carnival, etc., etc. So it would be quite easy to maybe get a little bit confused. If you're on one of these American ships and something says that it's $5, you've got $5, then you've got your 15% tax to add on, and you've got your tipping, which is mandatory. And then you've got those questions around that. How much is too much? Is that too little? Who do I tip? How often do I do it? So again, it's taking that away from it. I'm not saying that people don't still tip, because they do, very much so. But I think it just makes it more personal. It's not a requirement. You don't have to do it. And I feel like that almost the appreciation's more, it is there a little bit more. If you have the same waiter, for example, for your full 7-night cruise, you'll probably find that people tip that waiter. So obviously if they've done a good job, which I'm sure that they will have done. But you will see people giving them 10, 20, whatever euros or whatever it is that they've got on them. But the fact that you can just breathe and relax and know that you don't have to, and there's none of that panic around how much and how often, I think is absolutely great. And just over to their awards and their appreciation. So they are recognised really quite often, and some of the awards that they've got have been really prestigious within the industry. So excellence in customer service and innovative onboard experiences. So to break that down a little bit, the customer service and the food and the entertainment are the main awards that they've always won. Now, if you were to say that about hotel, this hotel year in, year out wins awards for having fantastic customer service, fantastic entertainment in an evening, and fantastic food all day, every day. Then why would anybody not want to go? Genuinely, if you switched that up to a hotel rather than a cruise ship, and said those things, these are what they constantly win their awards for, you're absolutely laughing. It's what everybody wants. Great people around you, i.e. the team, staff, great food, and great entertainment. Simple as that. So that is exactly what they win their awards for, quite consistently. And then from a client appreciation perspective, they regularly will be provided feedback around the staff being attentive and friendly, the quality of the service provided. Now, again, you can very much see, and they do give out customer satisfaction emails and surveys, etc. But you can see how the two of those mirror. What clients are saying is also what the industry is seeing as well, which I just think is great. And then what clients really enjoy is the variety of dining, which again, we touched on earlier. But what I've done here is I've just put a couple of pictures. So this here in the top right with these sort of beach hut style things, this is called the Snack Shack. And it's kind of a cruise's take almost on like a fast food restaurant-y type of thing, which obviously is why it's quite sort of casual and what have you down here, your fried chicken and that kind of thing. So it's just their take on a quick and easy sort of option. Then the total opposite end of the scale, you've got their surf and turf restaurant. So that is one of the a la carte. There is a cover charge for that should clients want to go and sit in there. It's not, again, you're not talking hundreds of pounds. I believe it's around the £30 or £40 mark in there. But obviously you do get a full menu. And then just down here, although again, it slightly differs depending on the ship, this is the Latitude 52, which is the main dining restaurant. The entertainment choices, so you've got live shows, movie nights, Cirque du Soleil, they do all sorts. And again, this is part of the award sort of side of things they win a lot for. They are known to fly the likes of Broadway style musicals and what have you. They're known to fly them out and have them on board. So the shows that you are seeing are top notch. West End style Broadway shows, like I say, your Cirque du Soleil, your live acts, your singers, your dancers, etc. Which is obviously that photograph there. I've just popped a photograph in there of the part of the casino, and this is the rock climbing wall. You do have your usual kids clubs, as well as the mini golf and that kind of thing as well. So something for everybody. And of course, the other main thing for guests is the value of the all-inclusive package. And the innovation and commitment to quality. So they do continually improve their service, their amenities. They make sure that they focus on those customer satisfaction feedback forms and things that they've had. They'll adapt, hence the fact that they've got rid of some of their ships and they're buying the Royal Caribbean ones that are slightly bigger, but still not off-brand for them. And just making sure that they're moving with the times, but sticking to themselves as well, if that makes sense. And that is the end of the presentation.